What's going on, guys? I feel like I slurred it a little there.
What's going on, guys?
You need to get it together. What's going on, guys? So maybe you're looking for some quick and easy, budget-friendly renovations that you can make to your house to still get a good return on investment. Well, in today's video, we're going to be talking about several renovations that you can make that are under $3,000 that still get you a decent return on investment.
Stop wasting money on that dumb shit and instead put it in investment. I know it's tempting. You'll spend it and be broke again.
Ryan,
Taylor.
now that that's out of the way. So what is this return on investment Taylor keeps talking about? So ROI, or return on investment, it's just the measure of how much value a renovation adds to your home compared to its cost. So simply put, if you spend $10,000 on a kitchen remodel and it increases your home's value by $8,000, your return on investment is 80%. If I'm putting in a ton of money in an investment, I'm calling it an investment, but I'm getting no money back,
Yeah.
so when I go to resell it, it does nothing for me. That's a pretty bad idea. That's not a good return on investment. It's not bringing me any value back. But if I'm doing something, say installing a brand new fence or in-ground pool or anything like that, adding a bathroom to my house, and it's increasing the value more than I spent, that's a great return on investment. That means I spent, say, 10,000, but I'm getting 20,000. That's an extra 10,000 I didn't have to spend, but I'm getting that back. That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a few things you can do on a budget that'll bring you a good high return on investment. So one of the biggest, maybe the most obvious, is paint. Paint can change everything. A good idea is to look at like Sherwin-Williams, Behr, and a couple of those type like websites that are going to tell you what's the most popular, the highest trending paints or whatever like that, the paint of the year. Those are going to be most likely the paints that everybody likes, pretty much a neutral most of the time, and you're going to get a good return on your investment. Now the question comes down to, if I only have a little bit of money to invest in this, do I paint the interior or exterior of my house?
And typically, the answer to that is the interior. People just typically care what they see most often, which is the inside of their house. And that makes a little bit of sense. Oftentimes, when you're painting the outside, it's honestly just to freshen it up. The same thing could be achieved by just pressure washing your house a lot of times. But painting the inside, like Ryan said, can completely transform a space. I mean, for my house, for example, and I'll put it up on screen, I had these yellow walls that made it feel dirty. Now, it simply was dirty. It had a smell to it. Ryan can attest to that. When you first walked in, when I first bought the house, and simply painting the walls to what it is now with a neutral color, like Ryan mentioned, completely transformed the space. It just feels cleaner, more inviting. So that was a great investment. I'm glad I did it. And I did it myself. I simply bought the paint. In fact, according to HomeLight, repainting interior walls increases home value by an average of 5%, and that's an ROI, or return on investment, of 107%.
Yeah, so basically that means if you have a valued home of $400,000, that would increase your home's value $20,000 by simply painting. That's pretty wild. According to Angie, hiring a professional to paint just one room costs an average of $1,100, though it can range anywhere from $150 for a DIY to over $5,000 for a professional with a higher end case. So just like Taylor said, hiring that professional can help maybe save time, obviously energy and effort,
Yeah.
but your return on investment is probably going to be lower because you're still putting up the same products more than likely, and you're paying this contractor, this person, a chunk of money. So your cost is higher, but your value is probably going to be about the same.
Yeah.
So your return on investment in that sense is going to be a little bit lower.
Yeah. Not to say, though, that if you know you're not going to do a great job, don't paint it, because that can actually decrease your house. Like if you don't put any tape on the edges and you get paint on your window seals and you hit the ceiling a few times and on your floor you get on your hardwood and it stains, that's a detriment. You don't want to do that. But if you take the time, put down a tarp, do just a little bit of tape, which is what I did. It's time consuming, but not difficult by any means.
Right.
And it, like I said, completely transforms the space. Moving on to the next is countertops. Now, replacing outdated countertops with affordable options like butcher block or laminate can cost as little as $500, maybe ranging up to $2,000. But your return on that investment can be anywhere from 80 to 120%, depending on the material you end up choosing and a few different variables. And again, this is a pretty easy thing you can do. Now, it might not be quite as DIY. Maybe you found a discount stone place and you go with a real stone, then you probably would have someone install it for you.
Right.
But something like a butcher block, if you are, crafty and good with tools and everything, it is potentially something you could do. I mean, I see videos of it all the time just because that's stuff I'm interested in. So I know it's possible to be done, but again, countertops can greatly change the look of a kitchen and functionality.
Sure. Staying right in the kitchen, but going to the next on the list is Backsplash. Installing ceramic tiles, or maybe sometimes just installing something that's a little bit more universal. You don't have something too crazy of a design. That can help bring up the value of the home, or at least make your home more marketable to a larger audience. Some people don't like crazy designs. Some people don't like bold looks. So if you do have that and it worked great for you, maybe all you want to do is increase, maybe not increase the value, but just open it up to a wider audience, remove that old backsplash, or if you have no backsplash, install a backsplash, and just do it more universal, maybe the subway tile or something rather simple. And a lot of people do it themselves, but for that you can hire a professional, and typically it won't be too crazy in cost. But if you want to practice and try it yourself, it's not a bad idea either. Just really don't want it to come out really bad.
Yeah.
The quality does matter. Again, as long as it's not far off average, you're probably fine. But if you start seeing a lot of blemishes and stuff like that, it's probably not a great idea to do it yourself. I would hire a professional in that case. But the cost for this can range drastically, depending on the size of the kitchen and many other factors, material you choose. Some people even do the peel and stick backsplash that work really well. If you do them right, they come out great. And those can be anywhere from $100 to $500. And with that, it does increase the audience that would be looking at your home. So that return on investment could be also 80 to 120%.
Yeah, and this is a great thing to do. Again, I'll show you pictures of what my house looked like versus what it looks like now. Now, I know you're thinking that's a complete remodel. We're not saying that you got to go all that way. I replaced the entire kitchen, basically took out the walls and replaced the plumbing and electrical and everything. We're not saying do that. That's obviously not going to be way more expensive, but breaking down the actual cost, I replaced the countertops. That wasn't too bad, and I went with quartz. I replaced there was no backsplash, and I added subway tile. That wasn't that expensive either. So, but it completely changed the space. It looks way better, obviously, as you can see. Moving right along is the flooring. Updating your flooring with something peel and stick, or maybe a cheaper laminate, but still looks good, or even refinishing your existing hardwood floors can cost anywhere from $500 to $2,000, and you're still getting that return on investment of anywhere from 80 to 120% again. And this is huge if your existing floors just look really bad. Maybe they're really scuffed up. They've got like divots and grooves in them and everything. You know, a cheap laminate, I mean, some of them look really good.
Yeah,
I mean, you got
definitely.
to get close. And I'm like, is this real wood? And tap on it and you're like, I still can't tell. So a lot of them can be very convincing. And then, some peel and stick stuff looks great nowadays. More and more fake faux stuff looks really good, whether it's the backsplash or the flooring.
And they're coming in with waterproof. They come with sealing. They lock
Mm-hmm.
really easy, super easy to install. So those you can even do yourself and watch a few videos. It's really not that hard. I've done it a lot. And yeah, very good return on investment. So next is cabinets. So this can be a good return on investment, especially if your cabinets look dingy. You can try and clean them, but if that doesn't work, you can try and update them, whether just the surface, taking off the door and replacing just the door, or you can try and resurface them. There's many other options than just completely ripping out cabinets and installing new cabinets. Honestly, more times than not, you don't have to do that to update them. Refacing or repainting existing cabinets instead of completely replacing them can save you a ton of money. The cost can be anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000, again, depending on the size of the kitchen. And if you hire that contractor, like we were talking about earlier. And the return on investment is also that 80 to 120%. These are kind of ranges, but you can get different materials and many other things to make them look much nicer at a fraction of the cost of replacing the whole thing.
Moving right along into lighting. This, again, is very important. A lot of people value both natural light and just the light fixtures that you have in your house. So updating the fixtures and adding new light sources can cost as little as $100 to $500, and your typical return on investment can be anywhere from 70 to 100%. Now, I know you may be a little hesitant there because maybe you're not making a lot of money from it, but there are more things or factors that go into this. More people are more likely to be interested in the house. You open yourself up to a few more people when these nice little details are just well made and look nice.
So looking at our next is a staircase makeover. Usually when I think of this, I think of the railings. A lot of times you have loose railings or a broken arm or the railings kind of leaning, or it's got just an old kind of ugly design that you're like, this might have been a trend or might have been cool back then, but it's just not there anymore. And to me, that's a little bit of an eyesore sometimes. So updating that is a big deal.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. Usually it's not a lot of money, not a lot of material, not a lot of work in general. And it's a pretty simple upgrade. And there's some cool creative things people can do with those.
Oh, yeah.
And that project can drastically change. If you're just painting around that area versus you're ripping out or changing the railing, or again, drastically. But we'll say anywhere from $500 to $2,000 on that one. And your return on investment can be pretty good, anywhere from 70 to 100%, depending on how much work you have to put into it.
Yeah, because a lot of people care about what the staircase looks like because it's often the central point in your home. oftentimes as soon as you walk in the staircase. So that first impression that a lot of people get when walking into a home is oftentimes the staircase. So that look is very important. Moving on to the bathroom updates. Now, obviously, a bathroom can widely range in how much it costs to update it or anything like that. We're talking about just some basic updates. I mean, if you look at my bathroom, what I did personally, I completely changed it for, I believe, $1,200. I had someone come in and resurface and reglaze the tile and tub, and that was a few $100s. I replaced the vanity sink and a little bit of the plumbing. I replaced the mirror and the lights, and I also painted. It looks completely different. Didn't cost me a lot of money, and from being kind of embarrassed about the bathroom, not wanting to go in myself because I can be a bit of a germaphobe at times, to not having any issues with it, I mean, it completely changed the space. Bathrooms are very important. People value where they go to the bathroom.
And so you're probably looking there closer to 100% return. It was dingy, not wanting to go into, out of date, things didn't function 100% to a brand new, up-to-date, clean bathroom. Second to last on our list here is just kitchen updates in general. People love a good, nice, clean kitchen. Back to looking at the resurfacing of the cabinets, replacing the countertops like we mentioned, and another big one is updating appliances. All of that can vary, but since we have categories on the other things, appliances can be anywhere from 1,000 to tens of thousands. But for the most part, you can get a good, nice, clean, fingerprint resistant stainless steel appliance kit with all the appliances you need for $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000, depending on the range you want. So pretty easily you can do that. And that's a great look. If you have that old white,
it
yeah,
gets dirty so easily.
exactly, and it breaks down, it looks cheap, it's plasticky, those are a little bit of an eyesore. Versus if you had that new clean stainless steel set, that looks good. A lot of people look forward to that. And again, that return on investment can vary, but anywhere from 60 to 90% on average for the most part.
And it could very well be higher than that. I mean, if you look at my kitchen, what it used to be, there was simply an open space for where the dishwasher should be. So it didn't have a dishwasher, and I put a stainless steel one in there. Again, if you were to buy like an individual appliance like a dishwasher, that's a couple $100 to get a nice looking one. And I mean, obviously, completely changes the functionality of the kitchen because now you're not having to wash everything by hands.
Sure.
Because eventually that does get tiring. I did it for the first couple months and I'm like, I gotta get a dishwasher. It was the first new appliance I bought for that house. Rounding out this list is landscaping. Now I know some people say, the outside doesn't really matter, an appraiser's not going to add any value. But if you actually talk to people, you find that that initial curb appeal and feel for the home actually does make a change. Also, potential buyers notice it immediately. I notice it anytime I pull up to a house. You're immediately like, the mailbox is falling over like mine was. There's no plants outside. It's all this and that. So making those small adjustments, just actually do have an impact, whether or not people say that. But average cost can be anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000, and you still get a return on investment anywhere from 50 to 80%. Now, there are ways to spend less than that, like replacing the mailbox by yourself. I did that by myself, and it was like $100 for the couple bags of cement I need, a new post, and the new mailbox. It completely changed it. I'm sure my mailman's way happier because he was having to reach down. It was basically on the ground by the time I fixed it. So things like that, they completely changed the outside look, the curb appeal. So it is a factor. So if you've clicked on this video, obviously you're concerned about being budget friendly. And there are a lot of things that go into maximizing that and getting a good return on investment. Obviously, the more DIY things you can do, the cheaper it is. Now, that's not to say you should be lazy about it and not do a good job. But if you're capable of doing these things and you are willing to do it, you can save so much more money. I was able to save a lot of money. Now, there are obviously things that you should hire out. If you plan on doing anything electrical besides maybe changing out an outlet, don't put yourself in danger or anyone else in danger. But a lot of these things, if you can do it yourself, you're going to obviously save a lot of money. And obviously, market conditions come into play where you are. So certain places would cost more than others. So if you need some materials for like a new railing or something like that, this can vary widely across the country, across the state. Even city to city within a state can be pretty different. If you have a good connection somewhere, that's a big thing. I was able to become friends with this guy who's a contractor down in my area, and he was giving me a good deal and everything. So all these little things you can do, and don't be afraid to negotiate with some people as well.
So we hope you like this video. We always are looking to increase the value of our home, always looking to make our homes more comfortable, and obviously always looking to do it on a budget and try and keep things reasonable priced. So we were putting together some ideas and we were like, let's throw a video together. So again, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys got something out of this. If there's anything we missed, which I'm sure we did, please leave it in the comments below. We'd love to learn more about it. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.
Stop wasting money on that dumb shit and instead put it in investment. I know it's tempting. You'll spend it and be broke again.
What's going on, guys? So maybe you're looking for some quick. You've got to get it together.
Okay.